and she left me some bits and pieces. And in there was a photo of me, and what she'd wrote on the back was John Robson. I found that out. I went to question me mum, me dad, and then he said, he says, yeah, I'm not your dad. That's not your brother. I went into the bathroom, toilets, gave him a good hiding, and left because he'd, this is what they told me when they were beating me up, raped and attacked me mum, and now was the outcome of that as they reigned.
Fucking hell, mate. So today we are joined by Mike from Discipline Coaching. How are you, Mike?
I'm good. Yourself?
Unbelievable, mate. All the better for seeing you.
Good.
Mate, so this podcast, and the reason I'm doing this podcast is I was recommended to sit down and have a chat with you because I know that your story that you've got is quite a mad story. Certainly harrowing when I've heard the bit I have heard about it. And it's for any viewer or listener now, it's something that it's probably going to be a bit like, fuck, I've never heard out like that before. So what I want to do, I want to go back to when you were young, mate. What was it like for you growing up, and where are you from?
So I'm from the northeast. Moved away a while, but originally little town called Verriel. And childhood, there was my mum, my dad, and my brother, younger brother. And it wasn't great. Physical abuse off my granddad, physical abuse off me dad, my granddad, sexual abuse. They'd go on holiday. I'd be left at home or with my grandma, passed around relatives all over the place. And it's sort of, you do look and think, what's wrong with me? It's like, right, I'll stay at home and get a beating off my dad, or I'll go to my grandma's, and then there's the sexual abuse from my granddad. And it sounds crazy now. It was like, it's the norm. This is what happens. This is life. I can remember I think I was about 11-year-old trying to run away from home with just some clothes, just wanting to get away.
How old were you when this all started, like?
I was 7 when it all started. I could flick my hair to one side, say a certain word, and I'd just get the belt off, the buckle punched, and I was like, why? So a lot of childhood was even Christmases, etc., coming down. My younger brother, spoiled rotten, couple of presents there for me, and then right, go and wash up, go and help with dinner, go and do this, and then get up to your room.
And was your siblings treated the same as you, or was it
no,
literally like you? It was just on you. This,
my younger brother. What back then I looked at as like, right, golden child. So it was like, right, it's me. There's something wrong with me.
And did you talk to him about it, your brother? Were you like, look, this has gone on? Like,
no, if I spoke with my mum about it at the time, it was like, hush, hush, just try and stay up in your room. Just try and stay out of the way of things.
How aware was your mum that it was? Do you think she felt like she might not have, like, she may not have believed you?
The physical abuse she knew about, but my mum, she suffered with polio. She's a very quiet woman. If she saw me in the kitchen, she'd come give me a hug, but it was when nobody else was watching. And then just sort of, right, Mike, just go upstairs, just keep out the way. She just wanted to avoid a lot of what was going on. Obviously, later in life, I spent a lot of time with my grandma.
Was that to get out of that scenario?
To get out of that scenario, 100% so. And I mean, I got to 18 and I left home. And then it was just like, right, no real purpose, didn't have a clue where I was going, just drinking and just zero direction. But I was just like, I'm just glad I'm out of that environment, that home environment. Not many people around me. And I was just partying. And then my grandma passed away when I was 22, that I spent a lot of years with. and she left me some bits and pieces. And in there was a photo of me when I was 5-year-old, black and white little photo. I was like, yeah, cute. And turned it over, and what she'd wrote on the back was John Robson.
Right.
So yeah, exactly.
And who was that?
That was my reaction. That was me.
Right, okay.
So I was me dad and my brother. What I found out at 23 wasn't me dad, wasn't me brother, and I was actually born John Robson.
Right, I see.
And
do you feel like that's why you were treated that way, because you weren't your dad's biological child?
Yeah. So obviously I found that out. I went to question me mum, me dad. At first, like, no, we're not talking about it. Got a bit messy. And then he said, he says, I'm not your dad. That's not your brother. Half brother, step brother, call what you want.
What about your grandparents? No.
So they told me who my real dad was, and basically was like, he's a psychopath. Him, his brothers beat me mum up, etc. So what my mum had done is left him, got remarried, changed my name over, and thought I'd never find out.
I'm with you.
But because I was the spitting image of my real dad, there was that memory there with other family members, and anger, and that was aimed at me. So yeah, 23, I found out who my real dad was. I was like, right, I'll
go and hunt him down.
I'll go and hunt him down. Which I was told, right, if you do, we've told you he's this and he's that. But when you've been beaten up and abuse...
Did you feel like you would have gravitated towards him, like almost like after all these years of torture, I could finally potentially get protected? Do you know what I mean? Like
100%. It was like, right, if I go and find him, it can't be worse than what I had as a kid. Whatever you're saying about him, no. So I went to find him. Now, we had a name, common name, but with 5 brothers in a little village. Wasn't hard to find. And I was told he had nothing, etc. Found his brother's house. I think I sat outside for ages and then went and knocked on the door and just mumbled. Can't remember what I mumbled now. And what would be classed as my uncle.
Was he aware of you?
Yeah.
So he knew he had a son.
Yeah. He knew it. And it'd be funny going back to the sort of times I'd come out of the youth club at 12-year-old, and I remember somebody coming past me and going, "You all right, John?" And I'd go home and go, "Mum, there's this guy," and thinking, "Oh, he's got you mixed up. You don't know." Looking back, that was my real dad.
Isn't that mad? So you went and hunt him down. You obviously got to the house.
Hunt him down. The brothers, what was classed my uncle, mumbled on the doorstep, and then he turned around and went, so my real dad's called John as well. He's like, "You're John's lad. Come in." Went in, nice house, etc. And I was like, this is going to be all right.
Were you scared the fact that people had told you he was a psychopath and all this? Were you a little bit like...
No, because I didn't believe it. I didn't believe any of it. It's when you've gone through abuse as a kid and you go, right, that's what you're like, no. Can't be any worse than what I've had for so many years. Anyway, I sat with the brother, sandwich, cup of coffee. And I think in my head was, do you know what, just give me a phone number or an address or something. And he went, "I'll go and get him now." And he lives around the corner.
Fucking hell, mate.
And the first words when he came in was, "When our young'un came down, I thought it was the police that were here waiting for me." It was the first line he said to me.
Right, I see.
Anyway.
What did you do? Did you give him a cuddle? Did you?
Yeah. I remember giving him a hug, and then memories came back of, do you know what? Yes, you're that guy. You're
Who
that guy
said
that used
outside
to
the youth
pass
club
me in the youth club and that big leather jacket on. Went down to his house, and yeah, he didn't have much. He didn't have much at all. But we formed a relationship.
And was he the person people said he was?
Well, at first, it was sound, right? Yeah, let's go and get some drink. Let's watch the football. He didn't have very little, but drink. That very quickly, over time, because I didn't have anybody else out there. My mum, stepdad had been like, "Right, you go looking for him. We don't want to know." So it's like, right, do you know what? We're going to the pub, we drinking, you haven't got much. That came a lifestyle. Crime. So then, he was thieving stuff, robbing stuff. Yeah, I did some stuff then that I wasn't proud of. But it was that mask that I put on. Went, do you know what? This is all right. You're not beating me up. There's no abuse going on. Yeah, I'm getting hammered on drink. Yeah, weed came into it, and that was sort of the lifestyle. And then I was like, I need to get out of this. And that was a bit of the turning point. So I had the uncles then threatening me, you can't come into his life and then just walk away.
When you say you need to get out, do you mean you need to get out of your dad's life again? Or you need to just get out of this kind of lifestyle of drink, drugs, pub?
Yeah. The crime, the drinking, again. So I left home when I was 18, didn't know who Mike Lancaster was. Obviously then find out John, didn't know who John was. I was going down this line just thinking, I'm getting completely just lost here. I just need to be out of it. I was working and I was just like, I need to step away because it's going not in the direction I wanted to. When I did, the threats came in.
From your own dad?
Yeah, and from the uncles. Yeah, you can't come into his life and then just walk away like that and leave. And I was like, look, that's not my lifestyle. I need to be away from it. And I did. Came away, got some threats and settled down. Relationship. I was a security guard in a shopping centre, and a couple of years, and it was all right. Life was good. I wasn't in touch with me mum. I tried, but she'd been basically, you've made your bed sort of lioness, and basically what she getting told by really my stepdad.
Yeah,
right? He's done, gone. And then my real dad came through the shopping centre one day. With this new lass, and saw me, and he's like, we're going for a drink afterwards if you want to come in and see us. Sorting my life out, remember finishing work and thinking, I've got nothing on, I'll
go around.
I'll pop in the pub and see him. I went in the pub, and there's a lass with him. I always remember, I'll picture it now, she was sat there with a bush lip ear. And he said she'd fallen down the stairs in a workman's club. I was like, oh, okay. Then he went to the toilets. And I said to her, I says, that's not from falling down.
When he was at the toilet?
He's done that to you. And he was like, no, leave it. I was like, just tell me he's done this. Anyway, she did. She said he did her.
Were you not scared of him in a way, like going behind his back, ask his partner, like, what's going on?
No. I think the anger I felt boiling up because I know what he had done.
Yeah.
And beating my mum up. So I could feel that boiling away inside me.
Thinking you're not going to let it happen to another person type of thing.
She said yes. I went into the bathroom, toilets, gave him a
good hiding.
And left. Police came to see me the next day at work. Said no charge was getting pressed, but they were more actually concerned of where I was living because the family had a reputation. They're like, you need to stay clear of this area. Just stay clear. He had a criminal record a mile long. And I basically just told, look, there's a caution, but off record, stay away from there.
So it's mad to think the police stepped in to tell you to stay away from your own family because they're that dangerous. Isn't that mad though?
Yeah.
So did you start thinking actually maybe they were kind of like...
Yeah. I knew.
Because once the police are telling you, like, it's a bit like...
Yeah, and it's me real dad, hitting women, hitting blokes. No, he's not going to do it. But his brothers were like, we're happy to put you in the bottom of a river with cement on your feet type thing. So I was just like, right, stay away. So life settled down. Life was all right. Typical late 20s, early 30s. And then a few years passed, still not spoken to my mum. Tried a couple of times, but it just wasn't going anywhere. And I went to Blackpool on a stag do. was in a pub in Blackpool, walked in there, and then sat in there and was my real dad and 5 of his
What's the
brothers.
chances of that, man? Fucking hell. Were you like, lads, there's 20 of us, get in?
I wish I was, and maybe if that had been the case, I'd have been all right. But I came out, left the lads, came out. I was followed, and basically down one of the side streets, my uncles and my real dad beat 10 layers of shit out of me and left me with a fractured skull. And informed me that really I shouldn't even be on the planet because I was born, if you like, because this is what they told me when they were beating me up, raped and attacked me mum, and I was the outcome of that as they rained.
Fucking hell, mate.
As the rain blows on me. So spent weeks in hospital. And when I came out, I didn't have anybody.
Did you know when they give you a beating in the back lane there in Blackpool? Did you believe them when they said that? Because obviously they've got it in for you. Some people just see any old shit just to fucking piss. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Or did you think, no, he's the type who's capable, and maybe that's me mum's protecting this from him?
And I realised later on that when my mum was, he's psychopath, he's this, he's that. Yeah.
She just didn't want to say what he'd done.
Yeah. She was trying to protect me, though. I do truly believe right, we're not going to tell you a real name because we are actually trying to protect you. It's just because I looked like him and had mannerisms, it wound me real dad up and other people because...
Yeah, because his now partner was... And the thing is with that, mate, like, I can't... fucking hell. It's almost like they've tried to protect you. You've ended up in a worse environment. Like, do you know, that's the thing, isn't it?
It was crazy, but...
How are you dealing with that when you're in hospital? Because obviously, imagine you're stuck there. You said you've had no one. You're thinking, fuck me, well, I can't go with my mum. I can't go with my fucking dad. Like, and then the thoughts are creeping in. You're by yourself. Like, that's a lot of time on your own.
I was on the verge of breakdown and nothing was going through my head of going, right, well, where are you going to live? Who are you going to contact? What are you going to do? Hence, coming out of hospital, and I had some money in the bank. Not thousands by any means, hundreds. But I was like, when that's gone, I've got nowhere to actually go or live. So I actually spent 4 months, just short of 4 months, on the streets. Walking the streets.
Just sleeping on the streets?
Sleeping on the streets. I was eating. I had some money, but there was no job there. There was nowhere to go back to live. And I was just... Yeah.
Did you try to get help then? Like, because, you know, I don't know what the government were like at the time, but a lot of people say who are homeless, like the government's hands are tied and stuff, and they can't do a lot with people who've they're in them scenarios. I don't know if that's true, but...
Do you know what? Back then, so as a kid, my mum and, my stepdad took me to see, I can always remember going to, I've got this vivid image of going to like a centre to see a psychologist because they thought I was a bad kid. But what they never told the psychologist was this had gone on when he was a kid. I was just like, you're a bad kid. On the streets, the whole mental health, that was nowhere in my head. I was just like, I think I was going back, not to victim mentality, but I was just like, this is what life's like.
Yeah.
This is what it's going to be like for you, Mike. So,
did you meet anyone when you were homeless? Did you meet people who were like you? Was that, or is it a case of you just literally like a lone wolf trying to survive?
I wanted to be that lone wolf. He was just walking around. It was just, right, leave me. I think part of me was like, right, you know what? This is what you deserve. Just be on your own. Stay away from people. And it was a chance encounter of an old friend that passed me, hardly recognised me. He took me for a coffee. He's like, how have you got yourself in this situation? And he came back on the night driving around looking for me. And he's like, you're coming with me. And he put me in his caravan on his drive. And he went, you can stay in there. He got me a job in a chicken factory. So I had some money coming in. I was in his caravan. He helped me put in for the council, got a little flat. And guess what? Great. Life's good again. Relationship, working in a chicken factory, going to play pool at the pub on a Friday night after work. And things were all right.
That routine in itself is like most people's lives, isn't it? Like pretty much.
Yeah.
Without the trauma, of course, but
yeah, and that stuff, it was always what I was looking for, and I was like, right now it's settled down now. So much so that I was like, do you know what? I need to go and say sorry to my mum, and say
why?
Because that was the moment that I was like, do you know what, Mum? You were trying to protect me, from this guy. What had gone on? Yes, you were this husband that's hiring signs for him when basically the way I look or behave, but regards me, Mum, she's quiet mouse. And I was just like, Mum, I need to say, sorry, yes, you were right. I get you were trying to protect me. I needed to say, I love you, Mum. So I made a trip. To go and see my mum. And on the way, somebody phoned me with some news, and he said, you need to look at a local paper up here called the Northern Echo. He said, you need to go and look at the Northern Echo. So I went into a place called Bishop Auckland, where the Northern Echo office used to be. And I told to turn a certain page to bereavements. Basically, the news I'd been told is that my mum had died 2 weeks earlier.
Fucking hell, man.
Of lung cancer. And the day I read it was 2:10, and she'd been getting the cremation, the service at Durham was at 2:00 that day. So I, instead of going to see my mum, well, I did go and see my mum still, but yeah, it was pulling up at Durham Crem and seeing all the flowers on the roundabout outside that said mum and sister and everything else. And then for multiple times, because I'd done it before with tablets, but I put me belt around my neck and tried to take my life. After hours of just sitting there and just, people talk about broken hearts. That was a broken heart of literally not being able to say sorry, love you. It was just, it was taken away.
The thing is, I think as well, mate, I think because I'm a believer in, like, with the right intentions, mate, and I've said similar things on the podcast in other episodes about, like, as long as you've got the right intentions and stuff, mate, I believe that she'll have known in some way, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, in some way, like, you were on your way. It wasn't like you were contemplating after the fact. You were literally on your way to do the act. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I found that out years later. I didn't at the time. So I turned to red wine again. So I was just drinking bottles and bottles and bottles of red wine. I just didn't want to be here. Tried multiple times to take my life. And I'd turn around, and I'm not religious, but I'd look upstairs and go, why? Why won't you just let me leave this planet? Yeah.
I know it sounds like I mean, the question I ask is, when you had the attempts to take your own life, why weren't you successful at that time? Do you know what I mean? I know that's an awful thing to say because it's not success, but what stopped you, or why didn't it happen?
Do you know what? With the pills, twice I had two friends rock up Once they broke the door down to get me out, I had a belt around my neck and the buckle snapped. Yeah, to the point of going, excuse my French, but it's like, you can't even fucking get this right.
What a thing to fucking say.
I'd just turn to drink, and just try and block it all out. That was my way of coping, and just going, right, I'll just drink.
And do you think that kind of, when you look back now on that time, like, you're clearly meant to be here?
At the time, no. I had friends that helped me, and again, I ended up jumping into a relationship again, and because I was always looking for that love, that family entity, and I did, and very quickly, my little girl came along.
Oh, mint, mate.
Ruby May, and life was good for a couple of years, and then my wife left me and took my little girl.
Fucking hell, mate.
And then used all my past history of drugs, abuse, drink, everything to the courts, and went, he's not seen his little girl.
And the courts granted that and all.
So family court, go, right, you're guilty till, you prove you're innocent in a family court. So where did my head go again? Drink.
Fucking hell.
Drugs,
Back on the red wine.
Yeah, you're not letting me see my little girl. That's where I went.
Did you ever get violent throughout that time, like even with other people and lashing out in public and stuff like that, or?
No. But it's when I was with my real dad. There was violence and that, but certainly sort of my daughter, my wife, there was none of sort of my dance traits there. So, but I hadn't dealt with the reason I still hadn't ever dealt with the loss of my mum, the beatings,
it's all everything. Built up in us.
I'd speaking with counsellors and private counsellors, do shit. Yeah, or go to the doctors and take them tablets, that'll help you get over that. No, it won't. So I still hadn't dealt with so many issues going on. So I ended up with solicitors, trying to see my little girl, which ended up just, I couldn't afford. I had some time out. And then I went back and I studied family court, and teamed up with sort of the Families Need Fathers group, and basically took my ex to court on my own, and ticked every single box that the court told me to do. Supervised, hair strands, this, till I got to the point of them saying, you've proved everything, there's your little girl to see on weekends and everything else. And then, I'd sort of 40% share of seeing my little girl. And
it's mad to think that you did it off your own back, mate.
Yeah.
It takes some strength in itself, doesn't it, really, to think that, because a lot of people are going through just down getting, solicitors and whatever they've got to do to try and do it, but you've put that much studying into the whole system and what's gone on. You've managed to win that case. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to have been through something to have that kind of resilience.
It was that thing of whether it's what happened to me as a kid and thinking, do you know what, I'm not going to have somebody telling me, no, you're not seeing your little girl or anything. So I was at that point of, right, I will do whatever it takes. And start seeing my little girl, all good. New relationship, life's good again. And then I took up, which initially was a charity, one of these white collar charity boxing matches. I thought, right, I'll train. And what I found from boxing and training was all the actually anger and frustrations I had. That was my therapy in the ring. And if I talk about it to people, when I was getting punched, part of me would go, yeah, I'm used to this. Punch me all you want, but guess what? I'm big enough now to punch back. So it was just my way. Anyway, I did this white collar, knocked the guy out in the second round, and found I was pretty handy. And I think that side probably came looking back from there, because I went on to have like 15 more fights
Right,
that
okay.
I won.
Aye.
And that side of
Were you a British champion?
So I did that, sort of club level, etc. 15 fights, and again, it was a way to let that anger out. It wasn't the drinking, it wasn't drugs. You had to be clean living to get in there and do it. So all that was ticking all the boxes. And then I got put in a fight, and after 2 rounds, when the guy hadn't gone away anywhere, and I was thinking, you're still hitting me back here. Had a fight, lost, definitely lost. Went down to get changed downstairs, came back upstairs to see the guys at the bar and get me pint, and I collapsed, and I had a stroke from a blood clot. So I had a blood clot, rushed to hospital.
Mate, you couldn't write this story like.
And they kept me in with the blood clots, blood thinners, everything. They came to let me out, and the day they came, the doctor stuck his head round the curtain, and I remember saying something to him, and basically, my words had just gone. And he's like, "You're not going anywhere." And I had a stroke while I was in hospital.
Fuck me, mate. How old are you at this point?
This was 4 years ago now. Four and a half years ago. Yeah. Stroke. I was told I'm going to be on medication. My weight ballooned up. I went to close on 20 stone because I couldn't train, couldn't fight. That boxing was my one thing that made me deal with me demons. And I
know it sounds a bit of a mad question, mate, but you know when the doctor's saying, like, you had a stroke, this, that, and the other, like, are you worried that you could die because of what you've been through? Or you're like, well, it is what it is. Like, how, do you know what I mean? I know that sounds awful, but because you've been through such trauma, mate, I can't even, like, it's almost like that could be a better option. You know, like, how's your mind at that point?
At that time, it was probably going, I've had that life where it's like the trauma good, until you get to the point and go, yeah, well, this is what happens to Mike. Life's good, and then just fucking something comes down and goes bang.
Because I always say that, you know, and some people go, no, man, you shouldn't, it's negative to act that way, but like, and on the whole, mate, I'm kind of positive, but when things are going well, I'm like, something bad's gonna happen here. And I don't know where that comes from, because I've had no real proof to say, ads, when you do well, something bad hits you.
Yeah.
But there's been certain circumstances in my life and certain situations I've seen and things, you know, that I've been through where I'm like, fucking hell, like, he didn't have it that easy, or he had it easy, but look how his life went. And often I think, like, does it take you to go through hopefully not as tragic as what you've been through, but do you actually have to go through, and do you think you've got to go through these type of scenarios, like, to test you? Do you think, you know what, I know everyone wants an easy life, but do you think that's necessarily the best way?
I got used. It wasn't that I was like, right, life's good and crap's gonna come. When it does, I just sort of shrug my shoulder and go, but that's your life. That's what happens to Mike. The smooth and the bang, the smooth, the bang. So when the biggest part of it wasn't really the stroke. It wasn't me speech or anything. Back in my head was, I can't fight. I can't train again. And that's what I used to deal with all my shit.
Yeah.
So it got the point when didn't want to leave the house. I wasn't working. I was on medication. My weight was ballooning up. And I'd sit there. And if you asked me what happened yesterday, couldn't remember.
Mm-hmm.
You asked me what happened 30 odd years ago, I remembered everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the abuse, me real dad, what had gone with me, everything in detail.
So the only window in your mind is negative.
It was like somebody had opened that door and gone, right, all this stuff that you've put at the back of your head with boxing, we're going to open it and let it all come out. And then I got to the point of, I wrote a letter to my daughter. I wrote a letter to my wife. And I was basically, it's game over. It's literally, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I'd done tablets before. I'd done noose around my neck. And there was a building down there, an old coal works down there. And I'd been up on the top of it, on the edge. And I went, you thingy off there, it's game over. I remember sitting there and going, I can't, I then just...
Did you go up as well?
Yeah.
All
Went
right.
up multiple times, to the point where I thought, all you've got to do is stand over there and just run, don't stop. And it's game over. And somebody had picked up, my wife at the time had spoken with a guy, and this is how life is bloody crazy, called Adam Stretton, who's a boxing trainer in the mindset. What I didn't know, he came to talk to me, and he said, I'm going to an event, it's in the Northeast, come up with me, I want you to meet a guy. I didn't even know who this Adam Stretton was. And in my head, because at the time I was living down in the Midlands, and I'd been down, so we missed that bit. I moved down the Midlands, and I was like 20 odd years down the Midlands. So I was like, do you know what? I'm calling it today, but if it's a last look up to the Northeast, I'll go to Durham Creme, say what I need to my mum, I'll go to this stupid event that's on, and then I'll come back, and this is what's happening. So came to the event, which was Strength to Succeed. And the guy that ran that was Stephen Green. And I listened the first day to speakers, inspirational speakers, but my head was just, yeah, whatever. And I'll always remember, we went out for food. Steve was like, you're really, really quiet. He didn't know me from Adam or Eve. And I told him a little bit. I remember getting back to my hotel room, and he sent me a message. He sent me a text message. It's on my phone that said, if you come onto stage for 45 minutes tomorrow, I can take all that stuff away. And I'll be honest, I was in the hotel room thinking, who the fuck does this guy think he is? Yeah, but this, and he's a guy going, right, I'll take it away. Went to the second day. My head's going. Don't call me out, Steve.
What did Steve think that you were dealing with if you were quiet? How did he know you had things that he needed
Adam
to
had
take
spoke
away?
with him. Adam had spoken with him, and informed him some stuff. And I told him bits, but certainly, I mean, not nowhere near this, not into fine detail. Yeah, I know Adam had informed him little bits. So he invited me on stage the second day. Part of my head's going, don't call me out, Steve. Don't get me up there. Just leave me be. And the other part's going, get me up there. Get me up there. So
yeah, it's like a nervous excitement
going on in my head. Came up on stage.
I mean, in your mind, mate, if you've got nothing to lose because you're planning your own death at this point, if you've got nothing to lose, then, you know, why would you ever not want to get up there? Just fucking do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know that's...
Yeah.
So that was probably the part of your brain that was saying, just get me up there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And this part had gone, right, yeah, you've given up, and pretty much, yeah, well, what do you got to lose here? Got up there. Now, somebody recorded it. I've still not watched it through yet. I've tried to. But if I look back, I don't recognise that person that's on stage with Steve.
Shows how far you've come, mate.
It's...
Shows how far you've... What did you say?
So,
to your memory, I know you've not watched it back, but what type of thing? You got up on the stage, you had a bunch of people in front of you, and then were you like, well, what the fuck do you want me to say?
Do you know what? It was like you and me sat now, all them people, it was like, I didn't even know they were in the room. It was a most surreal moment from what I can remember. It's like nobody else was in that room, and it was somebody that was just, Mike, just talk to me. That's what it was like. And for first time, sounds really weird, certainly when at this point I'm like 48, 49. If somebody going, just tell me. And it's like, finally. And it sounds so simple that,
yeah.
but it's just, you want to listen. And we talked for about 30 odd minutes.
Were you just going through everything you've been through and everything?
Yeah, what life had been like, and missing me mum, and everything else. And a few pointers that Steve had said that always stick in my head was, one, doesn't matter if you're called Michael, John, Bob, Mark, Fred. It's a name, doesn't make. So I was like, right, well, I'm a Mike Lancaster. Is this me? Am I John Robson? Am I this? So he was like, it's a name. Yeah, let's remove that. he gave me, it's going to sound really strange, he gave me permission, is permission the right word? To forgive myself and my mum, which I'd held on to. It was like, right, I don't deserve it. Mum, do you deserve the forgiveness because you let me go through this? Can I forgive myself for not being there? Steve allowed me, and through some NLP techniques, allowed me to release that. Basically, it's an NLP technique, basically put it in the box and basically throwing the box away. Sounds really simple. And he did it to me. And the technique, when you break it down, you put it into a ball to throw the ball away. And when he said throw it away, I gripped onto it. I completely broke down in the moment. And a lot of people talk about it to this day. And I didn't want to let go of the ball. Because I was like, if I let go, who am I?
You were letting go like your identity almost.
I was like, I don't know who I am if I throw that away. Anyway, threw it away. The day finished, he gave me a hug. I went and I woke up the next morning and I can remember Steve saying, I was like, my mind is as white as what those walls are. And I was used to waking up and it's black, dark cloud shade. And I was just like, just clear. And Steve was like, just get out. I'm nearly 20 stone at this point. He's like, just get out and go for a walk, jog, just a little bit. And I went out, and this is going to sound really weird, but I was just like, right, look at the green leaves on the tree. Look how bright they are. Look at that building. Look at all this. And it was like somebody just put everything into like HD.
Yeah.
And I was
Where
like,
you can
why have I
actually
not
observe
noticed
shit?
all of this stuff?
Because you've been in your own head, haven't you, for that long?
Yeah. Walked for hours. Came back, and while I was out, I saw there was only a farmer. He had for the weekend a charity little mud run thing with the obstacles, and it was a charity thing. I remember saying to my miss at the time, I was like, I'm going to do that. It's charity. It's that. And I remember going, and it was half a mile, quarter of a mile with the cargo nets and everything else. And I went round once, like short of 20 stone. Came to the end, and I always remember the guy going, you've paid, you can go around as many times as you want. Yeah. 3 hours, I went round that. Covered in mud. It was like this kid again. I was diving in the mud. I was covered head to foot. I had this grin on my face. It was just like, yes.
You thought, aye.
Got back, bath, shower, and I think it was the next day, I was on my phone or whatever, and I was like, I want to do some running. I like this running. It's just like, whatever it was, the endorphins going, the being outside. So I remember looking, and then I said to my missus, like, right, I've seen something here. She went, right, what have you signed up for? Manchester Marathon.
Just take it on, mate. Why didn't you?
And then she said that word, you can't. I was like, what do you mean I can't? And I can literally...
Is she talking about because of the stroke and everything?
Yeah, well, and my weight and everything. And I was like, I can. So I literally was running like Forrest Gump every single night. And over 5 months, I lost just over 5.5 stone.
Was it ever in the back of your mind that you may have a stroke again or anything like that?
No. It was just right. I can achieve literally anything I want. Did Manchester, did the marathon, and then I started training again with, of all people, Adam Stretton.
Right.
So I went down here. So this guy that I hadn't known went down there and was just like, right, you know what, just hit pads and just do some light stuff. And then he said to me, about 6-7 months in, he's like, there's a light con fight, head guards, gloves, etc. If you want. A lot of people thought I was crazy with it. And I'd sign up from the doctors regards me stroke stuff. So I said yes. I went there. The nerves, everything were all over the place that day. because it was like later in the day I was fighting, and every emotion went through. What you doing? What's this? But I also had that thing of I can do this.
Yeah, exactly.
I can do this. Got in. Light gunfight, unfortunately, because I hadn't been in the ring for so long. I threw a right hand, and the guy went down. Unfortunately, I broke the guy's nose. Came out, and I went, I need to train more. And then jumping ahead 3 months later, I was back in the ring and getting my hand raised, and I won the ICO British title.
Fucking hell, mate. Yeah, no. How would you feel then? Top of the world, mate.
Amazing, mate. Absolutely amazing. And then Steve invited me back to Strength to Succeed as a speaker, which was like, no, I can't do that. Came, talked about my story. So I was like, look, yeah, I'll talk about the abuse, talk about this and what I'm doing now. And from it, people were like, Mike, you've given me hope to go and tell me dad this, or tell me dad I'm gay, or I'm going to do this with my partner, or anything's possible. And these people come to me, and then I started to put a few things out on social media, and people were following me and going, thank you, you're inspiring me. Now I'm just there to go, no, I'm just sharing my stuff. If it helps you, then great. I don't see sort of the deal with it. That built and built. And then in COVID, like everybody was like, right, what do we do? And I was like, I want to know what this NLP is that Steve did with me. So I trained and I became an NLP practitioner and qualified. So I understood, right, these are the techniques with the mindset.
If someone doesn't know about NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming.
That's it, yeah.
If someone doesn't know about that, how would you break it down? Like, what is it?
So the easiest way I say to people is, if you've got a car, you're going to take it for its MOT, to service it, to make sure it runs right, If you've got your latest iPhone, I can guarantee how many times does it say update, and you'll update it, or your Xbox, or all of that, NLP is basically doing exactly that with the mindset. It's clearing down stuff that you might not want to store there anymore, putting new memories, new pictures, new sounds in there, and clearing stuff out.
It's a nice way of putting it that way.
Basically, that's what Steve had done with me, going, this stuff in there, let's clear it out, and let's put some new stuff in.
How does it work for people who are, I mean, for me, for argument's sake, I'm quite stubborn in my own thoughts. And I'm quite like, I feel like, again, let's just say it, and this is just an example. I feel like if I was battling some demons and I went to a counsellor, and I get this as part and parcel of when people see people like that, I feel like I wouldn't, like, almost like I know more than them. Not in it, like, obviously I don't, because I'm not, I haven't dedicated my life to it like a counsellor would have been, but I feel like, no, you can't get into this mindset. This is how I'm quite fixed in that respect. I feel like that same mindset is what's got me to grow in business, because I've been so focused on something I've not really wanted to, but I know it's also my worst. It's the worst trait to have in a way, because yes, you've got a growth mindset, but at the same time you're so focused on the goal, you're probably shutting down opportunities. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like, how does someone who would potentially want NLP, or someone who's going through a bad time, or there's things like that can help them, how do they open their mind like you were? Because you were, when you said, when you thought, who is this Steve Green? Who does he think he is? Like when I'm in the hotel room and stuff. What did you have to do to open up your mind? You know what I mean?
So a lot of it was, and with NLP, and the difference between therapy and counselling and NLP and life coaching is, and although Steve spoke to me about the past, he very much was right. Let's talk now and where you want to go. So where a therapist and counsellor might concentrate a lot on the past or the trauma or the events, what NLP does is, no, we're not going back there. There's a few techniques we can do to throw the ball away, etc. But it's focusing on, right, chunking up. Where are you at now in life? Where do you want to go with life? How do we get there? How do we achieve that? And if something's stopping you and holding you back past, again, there's techniques that can be done there to go, right, let's remove that. Now tell me, what's stopping you? And usually it's actually, it's how it sounds.
Going back to it, Mike, when you do like be known as Mike now, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you ever latch onto the John side of things, or is that just a thing of the past now? And
it's somebody that, without getting too deep, when I was on the stage, it's as though that person died on that. I truly believe, that was an awakening moment. The people that saw it have said similar. It's like, right, Mike died then. Or John was like, right, gone.
It's so funny, because I actually had a guest on the show, a guy from Miami, and he changed his identity, changed his name. He even removed the pigment from his eyes.
Yeah.
And he said he did a performance, and it's on Facebook, it's all over the internet. And he did a performance where he kind of ended it. No one knew he was going to walk off stage. He walked off stage, and he came back on. He changed his name and everything, and he said, and I asked him the question, I said, did that person die or did you kill them? And that's what I wanted to ask you. Did John die on then, or did you kill him and become Mike?
Well, do you know, a really, really great question. I don't think I killed him. I probably just let him go his way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I found then probably the Mike of when I was maybe 16, 17, sort of that kid from somewhere came back. And John, I don't think he was killed. And I think, again, there's little traits in there, at times of John in there. I don't think he's dead, but it was like, right, no, you've got to go that way.
Yeah. With the how you sort of, when you were getting abused and all the type of stuff you went through when you were young, mate, I mean, it's never going to be understandable, but because of the whole resentment of your real dad and what he'd done and all that type of stuff, why was the grandparents doing that as well? What was the initiative there? Was that just they were like that?
I think that's what my granddad was like. My granddad had history.
Right, I'm with you.
There. On my granddad's side. My stepdad, I know why with the abuse. Yeah, my granddad had history there. So when I was sent to live with them,
and I don't want to really. It's not about that. It's about where you're going. Again, because I'm a big believer in that. But again, if this podcast does come across, any young person who manages to tune in, when them things start to happen to you as a young person, how did you know that those things were wrong? I know that sounds daft, but because you were such a young age, how did you know it wasn't? Why did you talk to someone then? Because again, these horrible scenarios happen to people. Do you know what I mean? And it's it's often that you'll see in the media or something. It's years later when things have come out. What was your experience? How did you know this is not right? Do
you know what? I didn't, because when I spoke to my mum a couple of times, I was told basically, shush, it'll be all right. And when you're told shush, it'll be all right, or be quiet. And then when it's happening, you just freeze and you let it happen. And then when your mum's gone, stay quiet. It's best. Just leave it down. At that age, you get used to that. Yeah, you think that is the norm. Which is why then these things, and you hear them so much come out, that actually go, no, that wasn't.
Have you ever seen your dad since?
No. I've not seen Paul, me younger brother,
right?
In years. Or my stepdad, obviously, mum passed and my grandma died, so none of them.
Do you think that's with your brother? Do you think that's an avoidance thing because of what went on with you? Do you think it's almost
I think there'll be a lot of resentment there, and
because they must see you on social media now, and they must think, fucking hell, he's a tough kid, because that's how you come across to me, fucking hell, I couldn't give you enough credit, mate. It wouldn't warrant, the words wouldn't even be what you've done and what you've achieved, and I know I've been told about kind of what you do now, and I've seen bits and bobs on social and stuff, but I know how many people you're positively impacting now. It's fucking hell, mate. Again, I couldn't even tell you. That's just, and I know you've been told a million times, people are proud of you, mate. And it's but to hear it, because I've never spoke to someone who's been through such trauma and all the rest of it, mate. And I can't even, again, I'm not from that world. You get what I'm saying? I can't even put my mind into that scenario. But again, I've seen things go on with friends who've, again, I had a very close friend of mine who took his own life and stuff. And there's been really horrible scenarios where I've I feel like sometimes I've went through them things like when he did that, like, but there's no real. It's just a case. Well, you're just a friend. Doesn't really matter. And not that anyone's ever said that, but people don't understand that other people are massively fucking affected. Do you know what I mean? Like even with your partner at the time taking your daughter away. Your daughter may look at you like you're the bad one. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like, fucking hell, like people don't understand how much how resilient you are to keep coming back. You're on social media, you're having fucking fights, you're knocking people out, you're building people up. You're probably making other people's dads never go through things. You know what I mean? You're building them that, like you're giving them that thick skin. Do you ever stop and think, fuck me, like my life's like, I'm doing all right, like.
Do you know what? I'm probably the most humblest guy out there because I say a phrase got said to me by Steve a long time ago, and it sits with me, and this might surprise people because there's two of the most important days in your life, and people will go, yeah, the day you're born is the day you die, and it's not. It's the day you were born, and when you realise why. And to this day, would I change anything that's happened? Not one bit.
It's crazy, that, you know?
None of it. If it's put me here now to impact with discipline coaching and the charity and what I do now, so I did loads of. I was in recruitment. So when I did the fighting again, won the titles, I was doing recruitment, and then it was like, right, I'm helping that person put social media. I'll help that person. That grew and grew and grew, and then how crazy life is. I always said I'd never ever move back to the Northeast, and then some decisions were made that actually Steve got in touch with me. It was the guy that pretty much saved my life. Went, Mike, that Strength to Succeed event that you came to, I want you to run them events now. So
phenomenal,
I then run that event. He's then, if you come back to the Northeast, we'll work together. So it was, right, you know what, I'm going to come back to the Northeast. I'm going to run these events that actually saved my life. I'm now not just an NLP practitioner. I've trained to be a master NLP and teacher of NLP. So now I actually teach other people to be practitioners to go.
He's a special bloke, Steve, like, isn't he? Because like when you think about how much time and energy he's put into that one person and he saved your life, like, mate, like, fucking what? It makes me feel like I didn't do enough for people. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, because you recognize things, and sometimes I'll often, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, mate, I've had messages in the past where people have been low, and I don't know why. I mean, a few people have pointed out people who are in a depressed state tend to gravitate towards me for some reason. Don't know what it is, and I feel like sometimes, did I do enough there? Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes I think, did that happen because, like, could I have stepped in it? And then, but I always try and think, but it's not my problem. Like, it's not my problem. It's not my fault. Like, I can only do what I can do. And if I had the energy to go around and save the world, I would. Do you know what I mean? But you can't.
And you can't. And listen, it's my why. I am committed ridiculously now to helping people, and that's why not just I do some of the one-to-one coaching, but the whole idea is I've just qualified last week 20 that we've trained up NLP practitioners, thinking, right, you can go out there now and train people up. And I'm a big believer that
the message is constantly just spreading, innit? Like,
when you stand focused on you, the right things start to happen. So the crazy part of all this is when I start to focus on me and get my fitness right and let the past go and everything else through the powers of social media, then I got a message that actually, who I've got a great relationship with now, and this was like icing on the cake with it, that me half-sister popped up.
Fucking hell.
So my real dad had a daughter.
Sure. And you didn't know?
Didn't ever have any idea, ever.
It's another twist in the story. Hell, mate.
And she'd always been looking for me as John Robson.
Ah, right, I see.
And never found me. And now she's actually, I came back to the Northeast and she lives about 10 minutes from where I live.
Amazing, mate. I bet you should like your best mate.
Yeah. She's like my best mate. There's my daughter out there.
Does she know about your story?
Yeah. She knows all about my story. But do you know what? We leave it there. I'm good now talking about it. So some people say, Mike, but you talk about it a lot. And I'm like, yes, because I want people to know, yes, you'll see me as discipline coaching, NLP doing this. But yeah, it's coming from that. And if I can share that to inspire other people, then I'll do it till the day.
Take your last breath.
Yeah.
Mike, when, you know, if there's anyone who, doesn't matter if they're young or old, I suppose, but they've just gone through a really bad time, like, and I know that it's easy to say you've got to be resilient, you know, you can't let things bother you and stuff and this, that and the other, but I guarantee somewhere along the way, if it's not now, if it's in 10 years, I mean, this video is going to be sitting on YouTube, so someone may come across this at some point, whenever the time is right for them. They could be searching for fucking just summit to look at, and they'll come across your story, they might end up on the video. Is there anything where you could say, look, I didn't want to just give you the wishy-washy bullshit about just believing yourself and all that crap. I mean, like, really fucking deep down, what can someone do if they're going through really fucking hard times? I mean, the kids could have been taken away from them. They could be suicidal. Yeah. The father could have just been murdered. Whatever it is, whatever tragic event it is, or even if it's tragic to them. And I think that's the thing as well. Some people, you know, it's tragic. Whatever's tragic to them is just as tragic.
100%.
And I think that's the thing. Everyone's been through, you know, their own story, and you know, like my bad stomach could be your headache.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And I think, and it's the same as that. Like, so what could you say? Is there anything you could say? Look, this is how you need to be. This is what you got to do, mindset wise. Is there anything?
Well, I could go down two routes. So mindset, I could say, right, get into, look at NLP. Mm-hmm. Yeah, look at NLP. Yeah, there's therapy. There's the NHS out there. Come on, there's like 1.6 million people waiting on an NHS list for support.
So would you not be saying counselling and that's the way?
I'd be saying look at NLP. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'd be saying, look at up a life coach and NLP. It's NLP that Steve did with me. Yeah, that.
But they haven't got any money.
Look up.
Because you've been homeless.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
If someone told you to look at NLP when you were on the streets, what would you say?
Yeah, I wouldn't have even had a phone with that, okay? Now, listen, if this is 10 years from now, one thing I'd get is we're setting up the charity, which will be the Discipline Foundation, which will have all these practitioners in. But the basics, if you like, is, do you know what? Talk. Yeah, certainly as guys... Yeah, let that emotion out. Not that, right, you're going to be judged. There's so many people there, and this is the bit that frustrates me, is that keep it bottled up. Mm-hmm. And then they start painting the pictures. This is what it's going to be like. This is where my life's going. Yeah, till they actually believe, this relationship's going to end, or I'm going to end up homeless. If you think that, guess what the chances are? Probably be the case.
I think that's the thing with blokes as well, mate. Like, I think a lot of men, they want to put food on the table. They've got this, like, you know, I'm trying to start a family. I'm doing this. It's almost like your emotions don't count. Do you know what I mean? I think that's why a lot of men end up being in that scenario, because it's like when I'm doing, man, I'll do some days where, like, weeks on end where I'm doing 16-hour days, and I'm like, and I've got a little daughter and I've got all these things, and it's like, and I've got the best support in the world from our lass. You couldn't meet a better person. And even me, sometimes I'm like, I've got to, like, this is too overwhelming. I don't know what to do. And that's just business. So you add some trauma on there and some abuse and some of this shit and all this other shit that people are going through and what you've had the misfortune of having to fucking deal with. I can't even imagine where your head would be at. Like, so that's why I'm big on, like, because I've got you on the podcast, mate, like the next guy could be someone completely different. Mm-hmm. But for speaking to you, I know for a fact there's 100% people who are, and I said it to Paul Mott, who you know about, and I actually said this to Paul on the podcast. I said, this video could just come across the guy who's on his way to jumping in front of a train. That's the thing, and I think people didn't say that. Think that's just a podcast. You don't know. You just don't know. Like, if they could come across, they could Google or YouTube, how can I kill myself, and see this video, which will stop them. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, that's why I'm big on, like, if there's anything you can offer, and I know, like, you can go to charities, but I mean, like, instantly now, you're in your bedroom, you're going to do something stupid. What can you do? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and do you know what? It's that, I'd say to people, it sounds simple, but it's that pause, take them deep breaths, and reach out to whoever it is. Yeah, it might be a strange thing. Actually, just stop. That guy that passed me, yes, I knew him from years ago. But just reaching out to somebody and saying,
it's funny you say that
help.
About the stranger on the street, because I think I don't know if it's a published study, but the majority of people who get stopped on well, basically from jumping off a bridge is by a stranger.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? It's never their own family who go. It's the stranger that stops them. Isn't that mad? So you need that hand to be like, so it just goes to show, if you speak to a stranger, there's a good chance they're going to help.
Yeah, and that person that does, I'm a big believer, I am very spiritual now, and I'm thinking, right, well, that person that might stop you from jumping, was he a stranger? Was he supposed to be there at that time? True. Yeah, just reach out to whoever it might be. Yeah, a stranger, somebody, and say, help.
Do you ever feel John creeping back in?
I know he's lurking there somewhere, but I know to
keep him away.
Yeah, I know the tools. Yeah, whether it's meditation, whether it's breathing, whether it's getting down the gym. Yeah, whether it's journaling. Yeah, whether it's, I do a lot of journaling where all these thoughts, and that's what I said, if anybody's listening, is if you've got all that stuff going in your head, the best thing you can do, write it on paper, get it out your head.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, 100%. So I've got the techniques that he's there somewhere. Like I said earlier, I don't think I've killed him off. I've sent him off on his way.
On his way.
Yeah, but he's there somewhere. Part of me sort of, and the guy that was on that stage, I look at that video and think, I just want to give you a hug and tell you it's all right. Probably with John as well. I probably want to go, do you know what? Yeah, it'll be all right. We've got this.
And what would you have told yourself if you could look at yourself when you were 7-year-old going through the worst years of your life? If you could reach out now as Mike Lancaster, what would you say?
It'll be all right. No, that sounds really simple, but just going, just
keep going.
Hold on tight. Yeah.
Love that, mate.
It's a storm, and the storm will pass.
Love that, mate. Where can people find you, mate? If they want to be in contact with you, if they want to get coached by you, if they want to get an NLP, if they want to work with the Discipline Foundation, etc. So,
Facebook, they can look up Discipline NLP Life Coaching. It's got its own page on there. But if they look up Discipline, if they look up NLP Coaching, they can look me up as Michael Lancaster. That'll direct them to the NLP Coaching. And it's come and learn what NLP is.
Mike, cheers for your time, mate. It's been class.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate that, mate. It really is. Thank you.